What's up, everybody? Happy 4th of July. And yes, they're still firing fucking fireworks outside my house at 11 o'clock at night. Here we are. So I apologize if you hear that in the background. I was trying, I just spur of the moment, I was just kind of like, hey, we just watched some fireworks in the pool. I was like, it's starting to calm down. Maybe I'll hop on here and not for long, maybe just a little bit, do a little live stream for the 4th of July. And yeah, so here I am. They're still shooting fireworks. Hopefully that'll calm down here sooner rather than later. But hope everybody had a great 4th of July. It's kind of the end of the day. Maybe saw some fireworks. Maybe grilled some hot dogs, some hamburgers, some steaks. Um, we ordered pizza and just fucking watched the neighbors' fireworks because in this neighborhood, these motherfuckers spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on fireworks for some goddamn reason. So we don't have to do anything. We just chilled in the pool and watched, which was kind of cool. Is my daughter, she's 3. This is kind of her first time experiencing fireworks. Like first year, the first, first her first 4th of July was in Monroeville at the Living Dead weekend in 2021. Um, buddy Matt Landrum texted me about that earlier and was like, "Man, that was like, know, shooting fireworks and 4th of July is always cool, but I don't think that one's ever going to be topped." I was like, "Yeah, that's really going to be hard to top." But she was, less than a year old at the time, and um, so she was already asleep by the time they were going off. And then, past couple of years, she's always in bed before they go off. So this year was her first year, kind of experiencing shit blowing up in the sky all over the place. So at first she was really freaking out. Like she was just like, I don't like this. Like she went underneath the patio awning. It wouldn't come out. She was like, it was like she was afraid they were going to land on her or something. I'm not sure, but after a while, she kind of got used to it and got really into it. So that was pretty cool. Um, having a few Iron Cities tonight, of course. Sent texted me just a little bit before I just went live, and it's like raise an Iron City for me. Can't find them anywhere in the West Coast. Yeah, they're hard to find. Like if you go to like a world market, like in Cincinnati, there's Jungle Gyms. If you go to Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati, they have Iron City beer, but yeah, they're pretty hard to find outside of the Pittsburgh area because they're just kind of local to that. But like I said, it's a last minute little stream here. I don't plan on going too long, but I'm open to talk about whatever you guys in the chat. I don't know how many folks are going to show up tonight. Last second, late at night on 4th of July. But anybody in the chat, anything you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about it. Brandon Salisbury, what's up, man? Paraphrase the great Matt Blasey live stream. I am in you. Always welcome to quote the great Matt Blasey here on this channel. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm gonna say Dio because it looks like Dio, like the singer Oib. So that's as good as I'm gonna get on that one. It sounds very nice. Yeah, like the music there is Mike Dean, an artist. I was going to use that one for synths, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to use it for synths. Synths music for his own stream. Brandon's loving the intro. Yeah, I dig that song. I don't know. I was just screwing around on YouTube one night and I saw he did like a live stream of doing that song, and I was like, this is fucking bad. This gets me hyped, and that's kind of what I like to do when I do those videos. Like, what song is going to get me pumped to fucking hop on here and babble for however long. Still getting them there as well. Where are you at? Because I mean, right now, like I said, it's 11 o'clock here. We're in Central Standard Time, and they're still going out here. So again, if you hear shit blowing in the back, which last year that was a huge fucking problem, I'm kind of hoping they get it out of their system tonight. Because Saturday I'm going to have Paul Farver on, and he's going to show off some pretty cool shit that he has in his Dawn collection. So I'm really looking forward to that stream. We did a stream a couple months back. Couple months back, yeah, I guess it was a couple months ago, about Romero soundtracks, and really wanting to get him back on to just show off some of his collections. He's got some really interesting stuff, some really cool stuff, some Dawn of the Dead stuff mostly, I think. But really looking forward to that on Saturday. So hopefully they get these fireworks and shit out of their system, because last year I tried to do a live stream, and it was the day after 4th of July, I think it was. and I just had to I had to cut it off because I mean it was like World War III outside, and I was just like I can't concentrate on what the fuck I'm saying because it's just like shit blowing up all over the damn place. So yeah, so hopefully they get that out of their system tonight. Which God, I don't know how much more they can shoot off after tonight. So we're fairly uninterrupted on Saturday, and I can give Paul all the attention and focus that he deserves. But speaking of that, I wanted to issue wanna I have to, apologize. I have to make an apology so I don't get canceled. No, it's nothing like that. But, but I just wanna thank Synth for coming on Monday. He came on, we had a nice 2.5-hour chat, and I thought it went really well. I was, like, having a really good time, and everything sounded okay in my headphones, but then I went back and listened to it. At the end of the stream, somebody had mentioned that Synth was a little hard to hear. Um, so I tried to correct it there last second, but I mean, we're 2.5 hours into the stream already, and it was a little late to really do too much. But um, let me get you off there. So people keep staring. I'm just going off and on. Like, that's what I'm doing. That's all this is going to be tonight, guys. I'm just shooting from the hip. Um, but yeah, Synth was on. It sounded okay in my headphones. I went back and listened to it after the fact, and like Synth is really, really low in the mix. So that's on me. I should have had some kind of some way to kind of keep an eye on things. But it sounded okay in mine, so I didn't really think anything of it. But listening back, it was pretty bad. But luckily, Synth is such a badass and such a cool ass dude. Um, he's actually going back and like readjusting the audio settings and stuff in the video using some kind of software. So he's trying to fix it, clean it up, and once we get the audio issues on that taken care of, I'm gonna put it up here on the channel for you guys to check it because Synth is awesome. It fucking really kind of sucked not being able to hear what he was saying and a lot of that. Um, so hopefully we can get that out sooner rather than later. But thank you for coming on. I apologize that we had those audio issues, but that's kind of becoming a theme I think on this channel. Is I'm going to change the name of the channel to Technical Difficulties, every once in a while interrupted by George Romero talk. So I think that'll be the next title of the show. But I'm trying to work it out. I'm learning, trying to figure it out here. Will, what's up, man? I hope you had a good hope you had a good 4th of July, man. Um, hello. You're up late. Like you're probably off tomorrow, I'm assuming. Brandon says you pick up the Day of the Dead steel case. No, I didn't. I actually went to Walmart today to look for it, and they didn't have any. But no, and that's one that's like I know I'm gonna get it, but I just I don't like I'm curious to see, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing else like anything new feature wise on that. So other than the old Blu-ray that came out from Dimension Extreme years ago, the movie came out. But the way I justify it in my head is I'll pick it up. It's something to talk about on the channel because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm a content whore, I guess. But mostly, like it gives me a reason and an excuse to go back and rewatch Diary of the Dead again because it's been quite a while since I've seen Diary, and I think if I just get a new version, even if it's the same transfer or whatever, is it nothing new about it, it'll still give me a reason to kind of put it back in and give it another watch. I've never been a huge like Diary hater. No, it's not perfect. There's definitely flaws to it, but I think there's a lot of good. When I first saw the movie for the first time, I liked it more than Land. Um, I was like, man, this was kind of what I was wanting because I was wanting, Indie George, not so Hollywood looking. And this one, everything shot on location for the most part, and I wasn't super crazy about the first person style of it, or the handheld style. Um, but it's one of those movies that just over time, it's just like it's just there's the idea there is good, but some of the execution is a little lacking. And so I don't know. I'll give me a chance to actually go back and rewatch it, and I'll because like I said, it's been quite a while. You got yours on order, okay? Yeah, that's probably what I'll have to end up having to do. if the Walmart here didn't have it. Most days Dio or jerk. Okay, I'll go with Dio. I don't know you well enough to feel comfortable enough to call you jerk. So I'll just go with Dio. Dio is a badass front man. So that was my first concert when I was 13 years old was Dio. I was blown away. I fucking loved Dio after that. Okay, so you're in Indiana too. Okay, so you must be more east than I am. I'm in the Evansville area, so I'm guessing you're probably closer. I don't know. It just depends on where you're at, but closer to the East Coast, I guess. Paul's an awesome guy. This is Brandon. I love him. He's the one that made my Romero scarf I wear. Yeah, that thing is awesome. I uh I love that scarf. I remember the first time I remember seeing Paul, and I met Paul at LDW. And talked to him, quite a bit. He's been on the channel. We message back and forth. Gotten to know him really well. And Paul is like one of the coolest guys you'll ever friggin' meet. Um, like just positive energy all around with Paul. Like he's such a cool guy. Um, but yeah, the first time I saw him, he was doing one of those drum covers of the Dawn. I think it was Zombie. I think was the track he was doing. But I was just looking at it on my phone. I was sitting outside having a cigarette or something like that, and I was just looking at it on my phone. And at first glance, maybe with like the sun hitting the screen and all that, like at first glance, I was just like, "Is that George playing fucking drums?" Like, because it looked like fucking George Romero. I was just like, "What?" And it took me a second to realize that it was Paul. Um, so yeah, when I first met him, it was outside of the DoubleTree at LDW. I think it was the first time I talked to him. I said that to him. I was like, "Dude, that video, you fucking fooled me." Like I thought, for a second, I was just like, "Is this long lost footage of fucking George playing the drums?" Like I had no idea George played the drums. Um, but yeah, I love Paul to death. I can't wait to have him on Saturday. It should be fun. Said I haven't had a chance to see it since 2008, so I want to check it out. Yeah, kind of the same thing. See how my opinion has changed. Yeah, pretty much my thoughts on it too. And I fully agree with this. Diary being more relevant today, absolutely. And I think I've said that before. Like George was kind of behind, or not behind, but ahead of ahead of the curve there. When it come to like social media and stuff like this, like doing live streams. Like, I mean, back then when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, but that's just not how MySpace works. Like George doesn't understand MySpace. Like that's a big negative, which MySpace is not even a thing anymore. Um, so that's but now looking back at it now, like it totally makes sense. It's totally true. I mean, what do you see when you go outside, or maybe not when you go outside? I don't know where you live, but let's if something's going on, like a fire, a tornado, or a brawl in the streets in downtown, so and so, like, what's the first thing that people do? They pull out their fucking phones. They got to film it. They got to get it, for World Star or whatever. That's that's our that's most people's first instinct for anything now. Like if you were being attacked by a tiger, the closest person next to you, there's a fairly good chance their first instinct is going to be to pull out their fucking phone. And that's unfortunate, sadly, but it seems to be fairly true. But yeah, I felt like George was just kind of ahead on just thinking like that's kind of where we're headed, and he was touching on media and stuff like that at the time too with that. So, but yeah, fully agree with that. Lafayette about an hour north. Okay, gotcha. So you're little ways away. And yes, Dio was killer. For instance, I met Paul on the LDW group page summer 2020. We chatted all the time. Then finally got to meet November 2020 during the Zombie Marketplace event. Such a warm person. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it would have been 2020. Was that last? No, it was the year before last. I think before I first met Paul. But yeah, The that's funny. The November 2020 Zombie Marketplace event. That was like right in the middle of COVID. I don't remember that. Was that in Pittsburgh? I don't remember seeing that anywhere. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to having Paul on and seeing what he has, because he's got all kinds of shit. Like not just like Dawn collectibles, like licensed collectible stuff, but just like stuff from the movie, like what they call propa likes, I guess is the title. That's what I've heard. That's a funny name. Um, But yeah, looking forward to that. Um, what else to talk about? Like I said, I don't plan on going too long tonight. I'm just kind of into the day. Kind of wanted to hop on here and just shoot the shit a little bit. Um, I did put up some new T-shirts on the Alpha Romero store on TeePublic, shop.alpharomero.store. A couple of new crazies T-shirts that thought looked pretty cool. So threw them on there if you're interested. Right now, all the shirts, I think for the next, I think until tomorrow morning, um, I think I think are $16 a piece. They're on sale, so just throwing that out there if anybody's looking for a brand new snazzy crazies t-shirt. I got you. There's also quite a few other designs and shit on there, um so yeah, check that out if you're in the market for some new t-shirts or mugs or stickers or magnets or anything, they you pretty much just throw that design on anything you want. um I was thinking about this. I'm just gonna kind of freeball it here. I was just thinking about the fireworks and George's use of fireworks in in Land of the Dead. The sky flowers. I put a post on YouTube earlier, saying Happy 4th of July, enjoy the sky flowers. And I just always thought like I've always thought that was a really cool um little piece of the lore, the zombie lore, the Romero zombie lore that George threw in Land of the Dead there. Just the fact that you could distract, like, because you didn't really think of it before. I remember when I first saw Land of the Dead, I was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty brilliant." Um, the idea that zombies can be distracted with loud noises and bright colors, just like we are, like 4th of July every year, like we're just looking at the sky, we're distracted, and it's just like it's George's way of kind of showing the population at large there as being kind of distracted from what's going on because in the movie, they shoot up, send up, what do they say, put some flowers in the cemetery or whatever, put some flowers in a graveyard. They shoot up these fireworks and and it distracts the zombies long enough for them to, go past them or, go into the cities to bring in supplies and stuff, to Fiddler's Green and all that. And I mean, I see where George was going with or going for on that. Like it's the fact that like we as a society are fairly easily distracted a lot of the times, and then movies, music, entertainment, politics, even at this point. I mean, it's all just there's so much about it that's just a distraction from the realities of the world we live in. Um, and I think that's really, really necessary in a way, if just a positive way to look at it. Because I think George was being a little more cynical in doing it that way of just saying like, "Oh, we're so distracted that we're getting fucked and we don't even know it," type of thing, which is true. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not true, but uh, yeah, just a little more of a positive. Like maybe it's a good thing that we have so many. Maybe it's a good thing that we have the movies we love and the music that we love to listen to and stuff to keep us distracted from the inevitable. You know what I'm talking about. um so I don't know, I just think that's a really interesting thing that George threw in there, and the fact that, I mean, just we're on the 4th of July here, and just be grateful that we live in a country with so many distractions to keep us busy, because there's a lot of countries out there don't have these type of distractions, or even quality distractions, even because, I mean, in America, it's a lot of them of what we do, like movies, music, stuff like that, is kind of it's the standard bearer there for the rest of the world in terms of our entertainment and stuff. So I feel lucky. I feel happy to be an American. Just for the simple fact that we have the luxury of having constant distractions, because there's a lot of places overseas right now, a lot of countries, a lot of people that don't have those distractions, and they face the realities of life every day. Um, and just to bring in the military, people that like volunteer to leave this world of distraction to go to those places voluntarily is insane to me. But that's why we should be grateful and thankful for veterans. It's I don't know. I was just thinking about that a lot today. I was just I see, and it's funny. Perfect example of the just how distraction can be a good thing. Or um, but like yesterday, of course, July the 3rd. Um, I'm sure everybody saw the post, July 3rd, 1984, the UNITA screenshot from Return of the Living Dead. Like that was a big thing yesterday because it's the 40th anniversary. Like people that I didn't even know liked horror were posting that. I was like, it's the 40th anniversary. But that's the thing, like especially people that grew up in Kentucky like me. Return of the Living Dead was always kind of like a legendary thing because it's like, oh, this is the zombie movie that took that happened in Lexington, right? And then everybody's like, yeah, yeah, or not Lexington, but Louisville. And everybody's like, yeah, yeah, and I always heard about it growing up. I literally knew people. I literally knew like older people that if you brung up Return of the Living Dead and they kind of knew what it was, they would swear up and down that they remembered when it happened. Like, I remember hearing that as a kid. It's like, "Oh, oh, you're watching that? Oh, I remember when that happened." And you're like, "What?" And, like, maybe they were just telling us that as kids to scare the shit out of us maybe, but I don't know. I feel like there's people like, because you hear the people like that, when it comes to, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You'll hear the old stories from older folks like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I lived right down the road from him, that, Leatherface guy, yeah." Like, you'll hear people that are convinced that this shit actually happened. Their reality and entertainment are kind of blurred to some people. And that's kind of, that kind of happens all the time, especially like in this country. Like, I don't know. It just seems like people have trouble discerning between entertainment and reality in a lot of developed countries, a lot of the time. And I don't know. I was just thinking about that earlier, and I was just like, yeah, man, just the distractions and blah blah. And yeah, I don't know. I've had a few Iron Cities, so I'm just in a real reflective mood today. I don't know. But yeah, I swear to God, I remember hearing people growing up, like the older people, they'd be like, "Oh, I remember when that happened." And you're just like, "Oh, wow. So this is a true story?" Like, I first time I saw it, I was thinking like, "Oh, this is a true story. This shit actually happened in freaking Louisville," which is crazy. Like people will really think like, "Oh yeah, there was a fucking zombie outbreak in Louisville back in the day. I remember when that happened." And it's like, no. Um, but yeah, I'm thankful that we live in a country where we can, you know, mistake, a major city in the United States and our home state as being a state that had to deal with a zombie outbreak at one time. I'm glad that our people are that out of it, kind of. Um, because we need that. We need quality distractions. I think that's a big problem now. Is like maybe I'm just old, not a touch, but so much music and so much like cinema and stuff now is so lacking, and I think people are just like the distractions wearing off, and people are just getting angry and bitter about politics and all this arguing about politics all the goddamn time, and left, right, whatever. It's like at one point it was just kind of like, we don't really care about either one because Jaws just came out. Um, we're all talking about Jaws. We're all talking about The Exorcist. Like nobody gives a shit who if you're voting for Nixon or whoever the fuck. Like, yeah, there were certain people that paid attention, and of course that's always going to be the case. But I just feel like stop worrying about it. Like, and it's easier to do when you have quality distractions. That's my word for the night, my phrase for the night. Quality distractions. That's what a good movie is. It's a quality distraction, by God. Uh, yeah, Will backing me up on this 'cause he grew up about an hour and a half away from me. Well, he remembers hearing it too. Yeah, I swear to God, like I remember just like older aunts, uncles, like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened. So I grew up thinking like Return of the Living Dead was a true fucking story, and they just and it just played out like it did at the end of the movie. They just dropped the nuke and it washed away the next day. But That's pretty fucking hilarious. I'm glad you backed me up on that because I swear to God. Um, what else? What else can we talk about? Like I said, I'm not gonna go long. Just wanted to hop on here, chat it up a little bit. Um, we've been talking about the Night 90 work print version. We brought it up on the stream the other night, and just the work print version of Night 90 that I have. I might put it up at some point if anybody wants to see it. I mean, it's filled with like copyrighted music. Like the music that they use for the work print version, to me, is far better than the Paul McCullough score. Like I'm just not a huge fan of that score. But of course, I mean, in the work print version, they were using everything from, Tangerine Dream to John Carpenter's scores and um, just all over the place. So much different stuff. Synth actually texted me earlier with like a complete list of like everything because he finally watched it and he texted me a list of like every like piece of music and stuff that he could pick out in every scene. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, like I didn't even realize it when I first watched it. So I might have to go back and rewatch it and try to just pick out the different the different tracks that were used. And I'm guessing that those tracks were picked out by Dubinsky because Dubinsky is credited as the editor on Night 90. So I would assume he would be the one that edited the work print version. I would assume. And would just kind of just pick those songs out to throw on there. Perhaps I don't know. Or maybe Paul McCullough himself had a say in it because he knew he was going to be doing the score. So maybe he was just kind of playing with different similar sounding things, but there's a lot in that work print version. I mean, that like the music cues and stuff, especially, are kind of completely different than what we ended up getting. And I kind of prefer, like I said, that work print version, but and it also has like the extra like blood splatters and stuff like that too. So um, me, are you what? I don't know what the hell. I don't know what you're referring to. Me, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch, try to figure out what you're talking about. Sean, what's up, man? Good to see you. What's up? I'd like it if you put the work print up. I have it too, but prefer not digging it out. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could do that. I don't think I'd get in any more trouble than I usually have, but it's getting harder because I'll try to put something up, and then like YouTube be like, no, no. And I'm like, God, they're watching me now. They're paying attention. Like they're going back and like putting copyrights on shit that weren't copywritten before, and yeah, it's getting kind of shitty. But I don't, I'm like I said, I don't plan on, kind of curtailing what I do, what I say, anything like that, just to partner up with YouTube or something like that. Like I just like doing this. I like talking. I like speaking my mind, and maybe it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I might put that up if you guys are interested in checking that out. Oh, okay. So you haven't seen the work print. Okay. Well, I'll throw it up then. That's what you're talking about. Me haven't seen the work print. I gotcha. All right. I'll probably throw it up here eventually. Uh but yeah, I don't know. Plan on going to see Maxine tomorrow with my buddy Rory. We'll officially have seen all of X, Pearl, and now Maxine. Which I really liked X. I love Pearl. Like that's probably one of my top like horror movies that I've seen in the last 5 years or so. So looking forward to seeing Maxine. I've seen the trailer once and I was like, okay, this looks good to me. Like I'm excited to see it. So I haven't really dug into it too much more, read too much about it. I haven't read any reviews or anything like that. So I like to go into movies as cold as possible. So I'll let you guys know what I think when I see it. I don't know if it comes up in conversation Saturday or something like that. Like I'm hoping it's. I don't know what to expect because the brilliant thing that Ty West does with this series of films, this trilogy or whatever you want to call it, is that all they're all different. They're all completely different. So they're not trying to follow the other, and they can do something completely different in every, every movie, because that, it's a thing when you do a trilogy, like everything's kind of already set in motion, so everything's kind of got to be the same. It's kind of like, the Scream movies at this point. It's like, why even do a fucking new Scream movie, because they're all exactly the same, and they just get worse and worse and worse, because it's like, after you've seen it once, it's like, wow, that was really cool. After you've seen it 6, now 7 times, you're gonna be like, well, that's the same thing I saw, 6, 7 times ago. So I like the concept that Ty West is using for this trilogy. Because X is like a grimy, like gritty grindhouse Texas Chainsaw type movie, or that's the way it's portrayed. And then Pearl is like, Pearl to me feels like like a horror Wizard of Oz or something like that. Like it's really, really fucking out there. Um, but it's still in the same world, same characters and stuff like that. And Maxine, from what I've gathered, is supposed to be like an '80s slasher uh, archetype, pretty much. But I'm interested because I'm not a huge '80s slasher fan. I'm just not. Like I don't slasher movies for the most part to me are pretty fucking boring, unless it's like Friday the 13th Part 5. And it's, a slasher movie, but it's got these outrageous characters and this outrageous dialogue and just shit that, is memorable. Outside of just like, oh, dumb teen gets killed, oh, dumb teen gets killed, dumb teen gets killed, blah blah blah. Um, so I'm interested to see what Ty West is going to do with Maxine. Because the trailer kind of made me feel like it was more like a Zodiac or something like that. Like there's a killer on the loose, and that would be awesome if they did an '80s slasher in the style of like a Zodiac or something like that. Then that's going to be awesome, because it's, I love those type of movies. I love Zodiac and um like Prisoners and shit like that, like Dark, um, Hunt for the Killer type movies. But if you incorporate that with, just the '80s slasher gore and the vibe and the sleaze, because that's the thing, that a good '80s slasher movie has to me is it's got to be kind of sleazy, it's got to be a little dirty. Um, so I'm hoping he pulls it all together, and Maxine is just as good, if not better, than Pearl, because like I said, I like Pearl better than X. If Maxine surpasses Pearl for me, then this could go down as one of the best trilogies in horror history. Um, so it's, high bar, but we'll see. Um, but I don't know if it's going to meet expectation. I think Pearl worked so well because it came out so much sooner after X than Maxine is coming out to Pearl. Like Pearl and X were in the same year, so people didn't really have a whole lot of time to kind of, have the nostalgia and overthink it and all this stuff. So now, with Maxine coming out a little later, it feels like it might be a little bit behind the 8 ball, unfortunately. So, I mean, like I said, the bar is raised, the bar is really high for Maxine. So, we'll see. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. Um, I agree. Ty West is doing awesome stuff. He is, and we need it. Like I said, quality distraction. That's what we need. This time, this point in time here. Since says, "Hey there, what's up, man? Did you check out my music list for night?" Yeah, yeah, I was just talking about that when just right before you commented on that. But good to see you in here, man. And again, I apologize for the audio issues. I know you're working on it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you pull together on that, because it was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. And I was so bummed when I went back and listened, and it was just like your voice was so low compared to my, like, I sounded like God, and you were just like, hey, what's up, blah blah, just really low tone, I guess. Um, but we'll see. Like I said, if you can get it taken care of, you're the man. You are the fucking man, sir. I owe you one big time, and we'll definitely get it up here on the channel. But glad to have you in here, brother. Sean says, I purposely avoided the trailer. I do that with most things. Most movies that sound good to me, I avoid the trailer at all costs. Um, because I want to go in cold. I want to go in not knowing much of anything. And trailers these days, god damn, they give away everything there is to give away in the movie. Um, so yeah, trailers turn me off to movies more than anything. Like if I go to a movie and they have trailers at the beginning, I usually end up hating every single one of those trailers I see. I don't want to see any of those fucking movies because A, I just felt like I watched them all, and B, like I hate modern trailers. I just do. Um, anyway, fuck trailers is what I'm saying. Fuck you, trailer. I don't know shit. Dio loves Ty West movies. I think that's pretty universal. I think, I've never heard too many people say like, "Oh, fuck Ty West. His shit sucks." Oh. A24 is the best studio ever. I mean, in modern times, yeah. I mean, if something has A24 on it, I'm usually like, I gotta see it. Even if it doesn't even sound interesting. Like, what was one I saw here recently? Perfect example would be like fucking everywhere or everything everywhere all at once is one that like I would have never had like any interest in seeing unless I was just like, oh, it's A24 and I've heard some things. My buddy, we went to see it, and I was just like blown away. I was like, holy shit. So then after that, I mean, Hereditary and Midsommar and Beau is Afraid is one. I don't know if you've seen yet from Ari Aster. I don't know. It's just you go into an A24 movie, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna strap in and go for the ride, and whatever happens, happens, and we'll see how I feel, after the movie ends. And most of the time it's positive. Sometimes, man, not so much. Like that fucking movie Men. I don't know if you saw that. Outside of the last 15 minutes, that movie is a fucking hunk of shit. Um, Folks saying hi. Robert Harbitz the second. What's up, man? Hey, you started early. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. When I scheduled it, I was trying to schedule it for midnight, but it set it for midnight the 5th, but I don't know. The time was all fucked up. I'm not sure, um, good to see you in here, man. I hope I pronounced your name correctly again. I'm going for two here. Sean says I saw the trailer for a new A24 film. It looks cool. I think Heretic is the title. Is that the one with what's his balls? Hugh Grant. Is that the one with Hugh Grant that I saw? I haven't watched the trailer for it, but I remember I've seen some people posting it and kind of talking about it. Saying it looks pretty good. That one is one that I might check out. What's that fucking movie called with Nicolas Cage? Long Legs is another one. I don't know if that's out already or not, but that's another one that I would like to see. Because I've heard the trailer looks pretty badass. Of course, Maxine coming out this weekend. There's some other stuff coming out. Nosferatu, Robert Eggers. Blah, blah, blah. Have another one, Michael. The Robert Eggers, the Robert Eggers version of Nosferatu. So that'll be definitely probably a day one watch because I'm a big fan of Robert Eggers and I'm a big fan of Nosferatu. Especially the Nosferatu the Vampire, the Werner Herzog movie from '79. Something about that movie just like is that movie itself. Like there are parts of it's just like, this is kind of corny, but then it goes to like from like corny to like dark, haunting, fucking depressing. I don't know. It's a weird ass movie, but I like it. So yeah, I'm a big Nosferatu fan. So that'll be definitely one. I don't know. I can't think of anything else coming out this year that I really give a shit about. Terrifier 3, maybe. It'd be fun just to go see, just to fucking see it in the theater, I guess. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the 2. I haven't seen 1, but I wasn't even a big fan of 2. But, when it comes out, I'll probably check it out. Since there's no worries, it happens. Luckily, I'm a music/audio nerd. Thank God. Like Spicoli, I have the ultimate set of tools. Well, you're doing the Lord's work, sir. I appreciate it. Will says Hammer is the best, but A24 in modern history. Yeah, I can't speak on Hammer yet, man. You still gotta introduce me to the world of Hammer horror because that's just one of those like genres or studios that I just didn't grow up having any kind of affinity for. Like I kind of remember my papa watching those movies back when we were younger. I feel like he was a Hammer horror guy, but it was just like I don't know. The '80s is kind of where horror started for us growing up, and then when I got into my teens, it was more about the '70s and Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, Last House on the Left, shit like that. So I don't know. I've always just been out of the loop with Hammer horror, but educate me. Since I'll try to get the episode processed the next 2 days. Been catching up on my LDW posts. That's right. I did watch a couple of those earlier. Um, as well, finally finished uploading all LDW. So this is all just day one. Yeah, that's right. You still got 2 days to go. Man, you put in the fucking work, sir, for Living Dead Weekend. If it's a perfect place to go, subscribe to this channel, check out those videos. If you've never visited the Monroeville Mall, if you've never been to Pittsburgh, if you've never done Living Dead Weekend before, and you're curious of just what it's like, I mean that's the perfect place to go. I mean, he's got Larry's complete tour, uploaded. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Hugh Grant, okay, yeah. Which the last thing I saw Hugh Grant in, he was the fucking Oompa Loompa in that horrible Wonka movie. But I will say he was probably the best part of that horrible Wonka movie. I've never been like a huge Hugh Grant fan or anything, but fireworks going bonkers outside right now, but I could would always rather be here. Yeah. I think the fireworks have kind of calmed down, kind of quieted here in the neighborhood. They went for quite a while, longer than I was kind of expecting, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully they got it out of their system before Saturday. Because if I'm on here with Paul and I'm trying to focus on what Paul and they're fucking blasting a hole in fucking southern Indiana, then it's not I don't know, it's gonna be rough. Cressy, what's up, man? Cressy777 says Nosferatu and Maxim magazine. Maxine, right on. I wouldn't even waste my time in that. Okay. So you're not interested in Nosferatu or Maxine, is what you're saying. If I'm interpreting that correctly. Sean, have you seen Shadow of the Vampire? It's fictional about making Nosferatu. I have, but I was really, really young. Like I remember that. I remember seeing that. Because that came out in like what, the early '90s. I'm pretty sure, right? Early to mid '90s. I remember seeing that when I was young, but I've never seen it since. It's kind of those movies that I don't really come across too often for some reason. Um, but yeah, there's definitely one I need to go back and rewatch because I remember when I was a kid, it scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Um, what was there was an episode of, was it Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that, which kind of had like a Nosferatu, like um a feel to it. The Max Shrek looking vampire. I vaguely remember that. I can't remember if it was a Goosebumps episode or the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, but I remember seeing that. Even that is when I was younger, kind of freaked me out. Just that look, the bald head and the fucking fingers, and just the And Klaus Kinski and the Werner Herzog version, I think, is fantastic. Which, I mean, apparently he's a fucking sayer. He was a psychopath at the time, so it kind of worked out. Um, but yeah, I need to check that out. Cressy, how many Iron Cities have you had tonight, sir? I was in the original Silent Nosferatu. Well, it'd be fucked up if I'm making a joke about that, and Cressy is actually like this 100-year-old guy who just his only joy in life is watching YouTube and interacting with uh, with weird live streamers like me. And he's actually telling the truth right now. And he actually was like a kid. He was like a child in the original Nosferatu. And here I am just laughing. I'm just like, how many of you had to drink? That's good to know, Cressy. That's pretty awesome, man. I didn't know that about you. Will says we have to check out these rescue stations next time we're in Pittsburgh. Yeah, that might be. We'll put that on the list. We'll just visit all of the rescue stations. That's a good idea, actually. That'd be a funny idea. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. It'd be kind of a huge waste of time, but honestly, like even shit like that, like I get kind of excited about. It's like, oh my god, like right now, like what do we got? The Go to Butler, we'll go to the Cook Medical Center and be like, this is where you would come. It's bad. Our level of nerddom is nerddom. Is that a word? Nerdism. It's bad. Willem Dafoe is interesting as Shrek. I was watching a movie last night with Willem Dafoe, Lars von Trier's Antichrist. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. I was watching it last night. I didn't know what the fuck to expect. I just bought it. It was on. It was at a local uh, Mega Replay, which they you like new and used mostly. Well, I guess mostly. Well, yeah, all used. They're used Blu-ray, 4K place, whatever. And they had the Criterion version of Antichrist, and sorry, Chris got me. Uh, anyway, but Willem Dafoe, and Antichrist. So I'm watching it, and like 2 minutes into this movie, you see like dick into vagina penetration, like slow motion in a shower, and like beautiful like cinematography and everything. Like it was so weird because it was so pornographic, but so not. Like it was, and like their kid, I'm gonna spoil it, but yeah, that when you said Willem Dafoe, that's the first thing I thought of was just that dick. Like, yeah. So it's gonna take me a while to get that out of my brain. Um, movie was okay. I just ended up falling asleep halfway through because it's one of those movies. It's like really slow and really environment. Like it's all about the environment of the movie. Other than that scene, it's a hell of a way to get people's attention though at the beginning of a movie. That's right. Givens wants them. It's like if these rescue stations aren't on the air at all times, people won't watch me. They'll tune out, and I'm willing to murder people by sending sending them out to stations that have closed down just so they don't tune out of my channel. Um, I'm as bad as Givens, by God. Which I don't even know if a lot of these places even still exist. Um, Stevens Memorial Hospital, is that still in Evans City? Because you got to remember a lot of the hospitals. Like I just watched Tony Buba and Tom Dubinsky did a documentary called "We Are Alive" about the Braddock Hospital that got torn down, years ago, and they was just kind of going into like how UPMC, the Upper Peninsula Medical Center, is buying up all these hospitals and shutting them down on the outskirts of town because they're losing money because populations are shrinking and various situations, various reasons. Um, the fuck was I talking? Oh yeah, the fucking rescue station. So a lot of these hospitals, like Western Hospital in Newcastle, that may not be there. Oakland Medical Center, that doesn't sound familiar. That may still be in Pittsburgh though. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go to any of these rescue stations. I would just say that they're a little outdated. Charlie hasn't given me the new list of rescue stations yet. Still waiting for you, Charlie. Hurry up with that. Cressy 777. Actually, I just watched Nosferatu 1922 2 years ago as a silent film, but as the original. Okay, so you're just saying you watched it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I like the original Nosferatu. There's a version out there that has it's the movie Nosferatu from 1922, but it has the soundtrack of Typo Negative. It was on DVD years ago, like way back in the day. And I just watched it. It was on like one of the Dead Pit Discord streams with Ryan, Stuntman Mark was on there with me. And I'd never seen the original black and white silent Nosferatu with the fucking Typo Negative music, and it works so well. Like it's like the dark side of Oz. You know what I'm talking about? When you take Wizard of Oz, you play Dark Side of the Moon over it. Like it works so well in parts the way that they use that music. Um, it's great. But yeah, I don't know where you could find that anymore. I think it's only on DVD. So if you search on eBay, I don't know what they go for now, or how much they go for, but I don't think it's been released since. Sean says Lars is awesome, as is Antichrist. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and finish it because, like I said, I ended up falling asleep halfway through it. But I swear to God, guys, anytime I try to watch a movie past 9 o'clock, there's no. I don't give a fuck what it is. It could be the best movie I've ever seen in my life. After 9 o'clock, like I'm falling asleep. It never works out. I don't know why I try. Von Trier's Nymphomaniac is wild. I remember watching that when I was younger, and I was thinking like, "Oh, what is this, like a softcore porn or something?" And it kind of was, um, but I don't think I remember too much about it. Wonder if they made a box tape. A what? The fuck is a box tape? You're gonna have to clarify on that one. I think you're talking about a VHS tape, but I don't know. Are you talking about a big box tape? A big box tape of what? I'm sorry, I'm a little behind on these comments. So, House of Jack built. That's one, Sean, that I remember watching. It was really uncomfortable, like the scene with the mother and the kids out in the field, and the fact that Matt Dillon was in that. But I liked it. It was one of those movies, kind of like that falls into the category to me of like Cannibal Holocaust or Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, where it's like it's a movie that's like really well made, and you're like, wow, this is actually a really good movie. But god damn, I never want to watch this again. Like it's too much. Like it's too real, you know. There were definitely moments in that movie that were kind of like that. The ending though, like I remember hearing people say like, "Oh, but the ending is complete shit," and I was like, I kind of like the ending in a weird way. Defoe's Dick could be a band name. Yeah, I could see that punk band name. New York somewhere probably. Nympho 1 and 2 are wild indeed. Mayor, what's up, man? Good to see the mayor in the house. It's all about the TV ratings. That's right. It's all about the TV ratings. I don't need YouTube canceling my ass. So I got to keep these rescue stations going. Minnie disappeared along with Boxar. Yeah, which is still a gas station. Can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but it's not a Box Arco anymore. But the gas station's still there. I've never been. I've never visited. I should just be like, "Hey, do you guys know you used to be Box Arco Pitcairn?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Uh, yeah, man, the Upper Peninsula Medical Center. It's it's big in Pittsburgh. They have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, the big building, when the helicopter flies off, me and Will figured this out. The helicopter that flies off from the WGON traffic bird flies off from the police dock or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. The police dock. You see that building, the big tall building, and all the lights are being shut off. That's the UPMC building. Or I think it's UPMC is in it, but it's actually the United Steelworkers building or whatever the hell it's called. Um, but yeah, Upper Peninsula Medical Center. It's a great hospital. Sean says my mom and grandma worked at the Braddock Hospital. Oh, that's awesome. I'm maybe not awesome. I mean, shit. I don't know. They were still working there when it closed, but I just think it's cool. I'm so fascinated with Braddock. I love Tony Buba's work, like his film work, his documenting of Braddock itself, and Tony does such a good job of making Braddock, like the people of Braddock, like I don't know if I said this on the stream or not, but Tony does a really good job in his films of making the people of Braddock seem like their biggest like thing that they pass down generationally to their kids and then their kids is the willingness to fight for what they got, even though they lose like 90% of the time. Like they've had everything taken away from them in that town, but the people of that town are still like I said. Anytime I'm in Braddock, like when I go to visit, anytime I drive through, there's always some kind of like community event or like people helping people somewhere. And people like shit on Braddock all the time. They're like, "Oh, Braddock, what a shithole." But yeah, I mean, it's a town in despair for sure. I mean, it was an industry town. The industry left town, and they had nothing left. But man, I love going there. Like it's just there's a certain vibe to people there that they just feel like, yeah, this town's come back, and he does a great job of showing that in like a lot of like the J. Roy documentary, and he's just like, oh, this town's gonna come back, and everybody in the town's like, oh yeah, it's just gonna take time. It just seems like they won't let that go. They're just gonna fight to keep everything they got, even though they most of the time lose. But um Robert says your excitement about Romero, Planet CHH, his love for physical media, and splattered plastic childlike love for the media he shows everybody. He just gets me fired up for this. I appreciate you guys. Well, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, Christian's a really cool guy. I'll say this about Christian. I did a stream with him. We were talking about WrestleMania over on the Dead Pit channel. It was me, him, Born to Be Rad. That's another guy you should check out if you like what I do and you like what Christian does over at Plant CHH. Check out Born to Be Rad with Garrett. Great channel, and of course Dead Pit. Dead Pit's a great channel. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for Dead Pit. So definitely check out those guys as well. But the thing about Christian, though, the thing I love about him, he's a fantastic interviewer. Like he had the Dead Pit guys on and interviewed them like one at a time, and he's really really good at doing interviews. He just had the I can't think of his name, but he was the guy that worked for Scream Factory for all those years, kind of in charge of Scream Factory for a lot of their big years, and just fantastic interviewer. I can't say enough about how impressed I am with Christian's interview ability. Um, but I appreciate that, man. I really do. Um, Sean says CHH is cool. He really is. Hearst, what's up, man? Are you not working a graveyard shift? Did they finally give you the night off for 4th of July, man? Good to see you. Mayor says, "Don't worry, Flyboy will land his helicopter with the updates." That's right. I'm waiting for the traffic report. Let's see if we got a Hey Hearst, Andy. Okay, big box. Okay, big box. Big box of the Willem Dafoe porn. If they do, it's probably at what was that fucking place called in Pittsburgh? That's hilarious. I like how you get excited about big box porn. That's but you're a VHS guy anyway, so it makes sense. Like big box is it's a sign of status. If you have the big box of something like I don't know if I do have anything like a big box. Actually, yeah, nothing. I had the amusement park. They did that big box amusement park release. I can't remember who the fuck did it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of their names. But they did like a big box VHS release of the amusement park. I ended up getting that because it was limited to like 100 or something ridiculous. But yeah, the big box Willem Dafoe porn. I'm not sure. Uh, I'll look for that for you, buddy. It says I live near a peninsula. So here a place could be called Upper Peninsula. Well, maybe they're maybe the Upper Peninsula Medical Center is based out of California area. I'm not sure. Let's see. Sean says Braddock Hospital paid my grandma a lot of money for her house that was right across the street, and they never did anything with the land. That's interesting. Yeah, that seems to be like a common thing now. With these big ass corporations. Because I'm assuming it wasn't the Braddock Hospital that bought your grandmother's property. I'm assuming it was the UPMC buying that land because they were going to demolish it anyway. And I don't know. Maybe it wasn't them. I don't know. Maybe because they ended up building like some apartments and shit on there. But I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. Whew. It's getting late. Had a few. Braddock is holding on. It's not pretty, but it's not as bad as it seems. Yeah, I mean, that's really the vibe that I get from it. Because, like I said, every time I drive through there, every time I just, it looks rough, but I've never had any issues. And like I said, there's always seems to be some kind of community gathering or just stuff happening, locally. I mean, that's kind of rare. I mean, you don't see that a lot in a lot of places. Mayor, did you see that Walmart is putting out a Steelbook of Diary of the Dead? Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Brandon Salisbury asked about that. That's one that I actually went to Walmart to look for today, and they didn't have any. They weren't sold out. They just didn't have them. So I don't know if not every Walmart is getting them. But yeah, I was planning on getting it, and like I said, there's not a lot to it. There's nothing new, not a lot new to it, other than it being a Steelbook. It's still just a Blu-ray. There's no, as far as I know, no new features or anything like that. But I would still pick it up. I think it's like 20. I've seen it for like $21 or something like that. Just to give me an excuse to go back and give it another watch, basically. Just kind of motivate me to watch it. Like as I said, it's been a while since I've seen Diary of the Dead. So yeah, I'll probably check that out. But what the hell? Holy shit, Michael, late night. Yep. Fuck yeah, 4th of July. Yes, night off. Awesome, man. Glad you finally got a night off for the 4th of July. Mayor says, forget the big box. I want the box. Okay. I can't think of the name of the actress. I don't know if it was actually her, vagina that was getting defoed. Um, but I can't think of the name of the actress that was in Antichrist. She was nominated for some kind of award or something at one point. I remember reading on the back of the box. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that was her or a stunt pussy. I'm not sure. But yeah, Antichrist. That was I gotta finish that. It's a little weird, a little out there, a little weird. There were plans to rebuild it and expand it, but never happened. Okay, Braddock Hospital. That makes sense. Box is the Japanese English. You're gonna get me fucking canceled, Synth. Stop. I'm gonna go there. Somebody is gonna hear that and be like, "Oh fuck, we gotta get him off there." Unfortunately, YouTube's gotten pretty bad about that. You guys remember back in the day when you could just fucking do anything on YouTube? I mean, shit, you're worried about what people are saying. There's fucking people offing themselves on live streams and shit back in the day. It was insane. But I guess there's nothing you can really do about that. You ever thought about that? Like, if you're just watching somebody and they're, the live stream is just like, all of a sudden, I don't mean to get fucking grim or anything. I'm not, saying anything. But I just think it'd be fucked up. Like, you'd fuck up everybody if you were watching, like, that fucking, what was that guy they just did that documentary on? Boogie 699 or whatever the fuck his name is, the big fat guy. Jesus Christ, could you imagine? It's actually weird. It's like you would think YouTube would have some kind of, I don't know, some kind of responsibility in that. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's late. Like I said, I'm not gonna be on here too much longer. I only planned on coming on here for a little bit and just kind of bullshitting and hanging out, having a few Iron Cities and celebrating 4th of July. Great Independence Day with you guys. Community gathering area is where Braddock Hospital was. Yeah, it's like right. It's right where the Giant Eagle used to be. It's now like the Braddock Community Clinic or whatever. But in Martin, when they were shooting Martin, it was the Giant Eagle, I believe. Sean says, I actually like Diary, not great, but some good stuff. Survival, on the other hand, just sucks. See, look, I've seen so much worse than Survival that I understand that if it's George and the standard is higher for George. But if that movie came out and it didn't have George A. Romero's Survival of the Dead, and I think that's a horrible title. George was even sick of the dead thing at that point. I mean, at one point he wanted his joked and said that he wanted to name it Enough of the Dead. But if that movie didn't have George's name on it, I think it wouldn't be as harshly criticized as it is. But I mean, you can't direct the greatest movie of all time and then, be like, hey, well, hold me at a lower standard here. It's like, no, I mean, we know what you got in you. We know what you can do, which maybe at that point in his life, maybe he didn't. I mean, you got to think Dawn of the Dead, when he did Dawn of the Dead, I mean, after Dawn of the Dead, I mean, he got super, super sick and like he put everything into that fucking movie. So to think that like, okay, maybe he's not going to be able to do that, 30, 35 years later or whatever it was with Survival of the Dead, then it's like, okay, I understand. But I don't think it's as bad as people say. I know I did a live stream watch along with it, and I was kind of taking the piss out of a lot of it. But it's not great. It's not I wouldn't even say it's good, but it is better than most shit that I see. In terms of like, zombie movies in that realm. Here modern zombie movies with that budget and straight to DVD type shit. There's definitely worse out there. Robert says, I must be the weird one because I really love Diary of the Dead and I really think Survival of the Dead is good as well. I mean, I don't think you're that weird. My buddy Grande over at Grande's Graveyard, he always he loves Diary of the Dead. He always puts over Diary of the Dead. He's not a huge Land of the Dead fan. But he always puts over Diary of the Dead. I don't really remember him talking too much about Survival. But I do know he's a big fan of Diary of the Dead. Like I said, when I first saw it, I liked it better than Land. Like when I left the theater, after seen it when it first came out in 2008, I was kind of going back and forth. I was like, man, is that where does it's better than Land? Is it better than Day? Like, because I was kind of going, I was like, maybe, yeah, I was wrapped up in the moment. Like, no, it's not better than Day. But after I watching it for the first time, I was like, man, that's almost like kind of what I was hoping Land of the Dead would have been. But hey, the real hey man, nice shot guy did it on camera. Very trouble. Oh, what the fuck? The real hey man, nice guy. The Filter song. Hey man, nice shot. Do 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 do. Nice shot, man. The real hey man, nice shot. Yeah, I mean, people have been doing it on camera for years. I mean, you go back and watch like the I can't think of his name now, but it was like a politician or something like that. Fucking shot himself on TV. Like, but yeah, I just think it's I don't know. It's happened. People have done it before where they just you know want to live stream the end of their life. I don't know. It's weird. Bud Dwyer, that's the name of the guy. Hey Man I Shot was based on a man who killed himself on television. Benny Bud Dwyer. Awesome. I didn't know that song was based off of him. That's the name though. I remember that name, but I didn't know that song was actually based off that guy. Since it's among many things, one of the worst aspects of Diary is her dopey monologue with vocal fry. Yeah, that's a big problem for me when I see Diary. When I go back and watch it, a lot of that dialogue is really fucking campy and really cheesy and just kind of like, really, guys, we're just gonna go, balls to the wall here and just kind of, spell it all out for you. Sean, have you read Romero's Resident Evil script or Dead Reckoning? Yeah, I've read them both. I've read Romero's Resident Evil script probably a dozen times in my life because that's probably the one thing that George never was able to get made that I wish he would have. I don't know what it would have meant for his career long term. Because if he would have done it, this would have been late '90s. We probably wouldn't have gotten Bruiser, and we wouldn't have gotten the last three Dead films, good or bad. However you feel about that. Um, but yeah, I was such a huge Resident Evil fan of the game growing up that when I saw that George was going to do, because that was when I was first discovering George too. When I heard that he was doing the Resident Evil movie, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. Because the whole reason I discovered George was because of Resident Evil. So it was just like this perfect marriage for me. So I remember like sitting in class because they used to have it online. You could just find it online and read it online. I'd just be sitting in class on the computer, just fucking reading this script the whole day. Um, but yeah, I would have. And the Dead Reckoning screenplay, yeah, the Land of the Dead, which a lot of that is really just taken from that original Day of the Dead script too, that never got made. Sean loves Land. Yeah, I'm a fairly big fan of Land of the Dead. I again, there's flaws to it. There's things that if I could change, I would. But for the most part, I mean, that movie plays pretty fucking well, especially for people who aren't. I'll say this for people who aren't huge Romero fans, and people that aren't really big horror fans either. Like, so if I'm if I'm with somebody and I want to show them Romero for the first time, like usually it's Dawn of the Dead or something like that, and usually their response is like, "Why do you like this so much? That's so weird. Like, why why are you so into this?" But when I show them like Land of the Dead and even Day of the Dead to an extent, they're like, "Okay, I kind of get this. This is actually pretty cool." Um, I just think it's a little more. I think Land of the Dead is more consumable to a mainstream audience. I think because and it got great reviews when it came out. Like the poster that I have, the one of the original one sheets that has like the reviews from like the Hollywood Reporter and shit on it, saying like this is George Romero's greatest masterpiece and all this other stuff. I remember seeing that because that was the poster that was hanging up at my local movie theater that I went to see it. I remember seeing that poster and just thinking like, holy shit, what am I in store for? Like it just raised my fucking expectations even more somehow. Then I saw the movie and I was just kind of like, hey, I don't know. So I think once I just kind of just accepted it for what it was and just watched it again over the years, um, my appreciation for it has definitely grown. Anyway, uh, Robert says there's a documentary about it called The Honest Man. I think it's pretty good, pretty cool. Um, yeah, Bud Dwyer. I don't know if I've ever seen that documentary. I just remember that being a clip that would be played every now and then. 1911 Guitar Dude, what's up, man? Just got his brand new Fluid t-shirt in that he ordered from shop.alpharomero.store. Hope you dig it, man. I hope you rock it proudly. I guarantee goddamn to you, you're the first person in your state to own a fucking Fluid band t-shirt. So wear it proudly, my man. Glad to see you. I wish Savini could have teamed up again with Romero for his last films to avoid all that CG. I like Survival better than the Dawn remake, though. Okay. Um, that's close for me too. I mean, I like to shit on the Dawn remake, but it's a well-made movie for what it is. It just doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense, and it's empty calories to me. Like the Dawn remake to me is just empty calories. It's fucking hoagies and fucking Twinkies, and it's like, this is so good, blah blah blah, but you're getting nothing out of it. Um, but that's interesting take though. And yeah, I mean, Savini was just kind of out of the effects game at that point when George started doing Land. It was all K&B at the time, and K&B would do the effects for Land. Did they do it for Diary? I know Nicotero was in Diary. Um, but yeah, I mean, at that point, in the CGI stuff, I mean, unfortunately, it's just a reality of low budget filmmaking these days. Because even movies that you would never in a million years think like, oh, this filmmaker would never put CGI in his films. Like Rob Zombie with The Devil's Rejects. Like that's a movie where you would think like, oh, no CGI would ever be needed for this movie, and they still use CGI for some of it. And you're just like, eh. But I just think in this day and age of budgets and low budget filmmaking, like it's just easier to just do CGI, headshots instead of doing rigging up squibs and stuff like that and having just a big mess to clean up afterwards. And because time equals money, and the more time that it takes to clean up and redo the effect and all this stuff, the more money it's going to cost, and eventually you're going to run out of time and money, and that's the issue. And these studios don't give a fuck if they're giving you money to make a movie. They don't give a fuck what you do or how you do it. Just make sure it comes in under budget and make some money. And so it is what it is. They're more interested in that. So they're just gonna be like, hey, I don't give a fuck if it looks like shit. CGI it. Unfortunately, that's why a lot of movies these days look like shit. Mayor says I wouldn't be surprised if Walmart will do a steelbook of Survival next. You never fucking know. I mean, God, somebody's gonna do it. They're re-releasing everything they can get their fucking hands on. All these labels, which you're starting to hear more and more rumbles about certain companies and stores are going to stop selling, Blu-ray players and shit like that. So I don't know. We'll see where everything goes. Hearst says if George Romero was still alive, I would love to see that script of Dead Reckoning made earlier on. Yeah, I think it would have been interesting. That'd have been an interesting script to have been made in the mid '90s when it was originally pitched to be made. I think it worked in 2005 though, when we finally got Land made. I think the concept and stuff still worked, and actually probably worked a little better with with it being post 9/11 as opposed to pre 9/11. Pre 9/11. Robert says I have an original frame Land of the Dead poster hanging in my movie room. Awesome. That's pretty fucking killer. I have one too. It's not hanging up anywhere. It used to be. If you go back and watch some of my old streams, it used to be the one right behind me, but I've switched it with the Dawn of the Dead 3D poster back there. But it used to be that Land of the Dead poster with the two. It's got like two sides of two different reviews on it. And I always thought, like, I was just like, Jesus Christ, I think I'm imagining that because I never saw that poster again after seeing it at the theater when I first saw it. But no, I ended up finding it on eBay, and I paid a pretty good goddamn price for it too. And I don't mean good as in like, oh, this is a fair price. This is a good fucking amount of money for this. Sin says the only cool thing about the Dawn remake is making a featurette with the fake newscast, and yeah, that's true. I did love that when I first got that DVD when it first came out. Newscast was fun. Unofficial Babylon 5 in joke. I don't know shit all about Babylon 5. Not my forte. Okay, that's interesting. Mayor says I'd show someone Night Riders for their first Romero film. That's an interesting choice. Usually when I show people Night Riders, it's usually a hot or cold reaction. Either they're like, "Well, that's pretty cool," or it's like, "This is really long and really slow in parts." Like, let's get back to the motorcycles. Or so, but that's an interesting one. I think Larry said. I think there is truth to the fact that Night Riders may be George's technically his best film. Although Seth brought it up the other night and said Creepshow is probably technically his best film, and that's honestly I never think of Creepshow that way. But when you really break it down and look at it, like there's probably a lot of truth to that. Um, Robert says a behind the scenes interview with George on Survival of the Dead. Yeah, he praised CGI and he said he defied Tom Savini. He defied Tom Savini to do what CGI can do. I vaguely remember him saying something like that. Um, I don't know. That doesn't sound like something George would say, but I feel like I remember him saying something along those lines. Because for years he shit on it. I mean, for years it was just like, I don't know why anybody would use CGI unless you're trying to take the legs off of Gary Sinise or something like that and Forrest Gump, you know. It's like why? Like it ruins it, but who knows? I mean, maybe George, turned around by Survival of the Dead and was just like, "Hey, I can get so much more done, so much more quickly if I just fucking CGI it later," you know. Um, so maybe. Uh, 1911 guitar dude. Brett says, "Yep, I've been rocking the Fluid shirt. Their surfboard style logo looks great near the beach where I live. Oh, awesome, man! I'm glad it worked out. 911 Dead Chili Billy shirt I got looks awesome too. That's right. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you got. I'm glad you're doing your shopping over at shop.alpharomero.store. I'm glad you dig them, man. But yeah, I also have a Killer Theater theme T-shirt over there as well with Night of the Living Dead on it. So if you guys are interested, check it out. You still got a few hours left. All T-shirts right now are $16. $16, including two beautiful new designs for George A. Romero's 1973 cult classic, The Crazies. Check it out. Shop.alpharomero.store. I need some sponsors, man. I could do a sponsor read. You do better. I don't know if you guys are Tim Dillon fans or not, but his ad reads are fucking hilarious. Do something like that. I'll buy everything George Romero Dead series to bring Survival Steelbook. I mean, honestly, I probably would too. Um, I'm just ready for that Bruiser 4K to come in from the UK. I got the thing ordered, and I know it's supposed to come this month, so that's gonna be, that's exciting stuff for me. We all love George. We all love George of the Dead. George of the Dead. That's a cool last name. George of the Dead movie. So why crap on movies that try to pay him respect? Come on, guys, now show some love. That try to pay him. Oh, are you talking about the Dawn remake? I just like busting the Dawn remakes balls. That's all. That's all. I'm almost quoting him. It's on Survival of the Dead special features. Was it on that documentary with Felsher, Walking After Midnight? Because that's on my channel. I remember watching that not too long ago. Love the stuff he does with Felsher. 1911 Guitar Dude, Land, Diary, and Survival were my only opportunities to see Romero films in theaters. As you were too young before those, besides Bruiser that didn't come. I don't think Bruiser really had a theater release. I think it played probably in like New York and Los Angeles, and that was about it. I guess it gives those some. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of it too for me because I didn't see Survival in the theater. But the one thing about Survival of the Dead, that was the first movie I ever torrented. Actually, I'll take that back. The Dawn of the Dead extended mall hours cut was the first movie that I ever like illegally torrented from Pirate Bay. And so I have a memory of that. The second one was Survival, when I saw the Survival was out and I couldn't find it anywhere. But yeah, definitely Land and Diary, seeing them in theater, the kind of like remembering where I was at that point in my life, like that time period in my life, like when those movies came out. Um, yeah, there's definitely some nostalgia to it, I guess. Um, because like I was still young at the time. Like this was my first Romero film to see in theater, Land of the Dead, and then seeing Diary of the Dead in Dallas, Texas, while we were there for Texas Frightmare Weekend. We were going to see, the screening of Night of the Living Dead with everybody there. It was just, you just have those memories. I just keep slapping this fucking microphone around. So yeah, definitely probably some nostalgia playing a role there. Since there's a statement by Romero on CGI, maybe copium to deal with the fact that he had to use it. Yeah, that's probably somewhere closer to the truth, I think. Uh, Robert says, here in Michigan, I was unable to see Survival of the Dead in theaters. I was looking so forward to it. I was so unhappy that I couldn't, but I have the movie now. Yeah. I mean, Survival was one of those movies that really didn't have a huge theatrical run in general. Like, it's kind of like Bruiser in the same way, because I don't think it came anywhere near around here. And Diary didn't really either. Like, we saw Diary because we were in Dallas, Texas. Like, it wasn't playing anywhere around where we lived. Like, we couldn't just go to Nashville and say it may have played Nashville, maybe, um, but yeah. Thanks for bringing up Romero movies that aren't Creepshow or Of the Dead, because I have not seen them. Now I want to see them. So thanks for that. Absolutely, man. I mean, that's a big thing that I hope to do with this channel and doing streams and meeting guys like you, talking to you guys, and just kind of inspiring. If there are certain Romero films that you haven't seen yet, and hopefully maybe I can inspire you to check them out. You may like them, you may not. But stuff like Bruiser, and there's always Vanilla and Season of the Witch, um, even Martin to an extent. I know a lot of people who've never seen Martin, and that's probably second or third on my list of like just all time favorite movies. Like I love Martin. I love so much about that movie. Um, so yeah, I mean, I am. I hope I'm kind of inspiring you to check out these movies that you just never gotten around to checking out before. But Bruiser's one that's I think people are going to kind of rediscover that a little more once we start getting these 4Ks and Blu-rays, and once we finally get something in the United States, which I have on good authority. There are plans for something. I have heard news from various people who would know. I've heard conversations. I'm pretty damn sure that we're gonna get something in the States here with Bruiser pretty soon. But we do have that 4K to look forward to from the UK coming up this month. So that's yay! That's a big thing for me. Since by the time I discovered Diary and Survival, they were only on disc. I was way out of the loop for a while. Yeah, Survival is probably right around when I kind of started to get out of that loop, where I started focusing more on early 20s sex, drugs, and rock and roll type of thing. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah. Well, I was planning on going about an hour tonight. I've done about an hour and 30, so I think I've put in my time for tonight. I appreciate everybody checking us out last minute. Like I said, just wanted to hop on here, do a quick little live stream, chat with you guys for a little bit. Wish you guys a happy 4th of July. Hope everybody is safe and well, and everybody's got all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. And like I said, enjoy those sky flowers, because that's what we need in life, quality distractions. And thank God we live in a country where we have plenty of quality distractions. Um, so salute to the military out there for making sure we can keep making sure we can continue to be distracted. We'll just put it that way. Sean, no, absolutely, brother. I appreciate you stopping in. Good to see you again. Synth, as always, man, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing what you do with that stream. Like I said, once you get it, I'll get it up, and I owe you one big time, brother. So just keep me posted. But appreciate it, guys. Hop off here. Love you. Have a good rest of the night. Great rest of the week. Like, subscribe, and of course, hold on. Just not Biden, please. Come on, dog. I'm not talking about any of that shit on here anymore. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about politics. It's a big fucking circus. I'll leave you with this thought on the 4th of July. The United States, and this is a quote from the great George Carlin. When you're born with a ticket to the freak show. When you're born in America, you're given a front row seat. Stay scared, everybody.